My name is Sebastian, and this is my sister Tela.
No, my name is Tela, and this is my brother Sebastian.
Either way, this is
Bloodline Beatdown. We love wrestling.
And sports.
And wrestling.
And movies.
And wrestling.
And music.
But mostly wrestling.
So we thought we'd give our 2 cents.
Or 4 cents.
To the world of sports, wrestling, music, and movies.
AKA sports and entertainment.
We're not experts.
We don't know anyone in the business.
But boy, are we opinionated.
So with that, let's talk about NFL's trade and free agents.
Before we do, because of what recently happened in the NCAA March Madness tournament, we do want to give a special shout out to UMBC for becoming the first 16 seed in the men's tournament to ever beat a 1 seed in the round of 64. So hats off to UMBC. With that, we'll jump into the free agency and some of the big trades that have happened in the NFL. We'll start by going kind of around the NFL and just jumping around. But one of the early big moves, obviously, was the Alex Smith trade to Kansas City, sending a pick and a corner back to Kansas City. So Alex Smith is in Washington. Kansas City is going with Patrick Mahomes. Left Kirk Cousins pretty much open as a free agent. Cousins then signs a 3-year, fully guaranteed deal, around $85 million in Minnesota, to be the new quarterback of the Vikings. The Vikings, of course, having had Case Keenum, Sam Bradford, and Teddy Bridgewater all on the roster, all of which have now found new homes. Case Keenum in Denver, Sam Bradford in Arizona, and Teddy Bridgewater with the New York Jets. The Jets also picking up, or I guess re-signing, I should say, Josh McCown for a year as well. The Bills in the AFC East moving on from Tyrod Taylor, trading him to the Browns in what has been a very busy offseason for the Cleveland Browns, acquiring Tyrod Taylor, Jarvis Landry, who we'll talk about a little bit later, moving Danny Shelton, moving Deshaun Kaiser to Green Bay for a corner, and really upgrading a lot of different positions, signing Carlos Hyde, a free agent running back. We saw some other free agent running backs, Jarrett McKinnon moving on, now in San Francisco, some big wide receivers being moved, Allen Robinson even now in Chicago. We saw Jordy Nelson cut from the Packers when they signed Jimmy Graham. Nelson ends up with the Oakland Raiders, who in turn cut Michael Crabtree, who signs with Baltimore. We saw Paul Richardson sign with the Washington Washington Redskins even. That would have been huge news if he left football for baseball. But just a lot of moving parts in the NFL this year. And I know I'm overlooking a ton of different moves, like Doug Martin to Oakland as well, and probably others. But what we want to really talk about more than just those two is our favorite teams. Tela is a New England Patriots fan. I am a Miami Dolphins fan. And both have had a lot of transactions either happening that add to or subtract from the roster. So, Tela, you want to talk about the Patriots?
I do. So, like Sebastian already mentioned, one of the trades that we got, Danny Shelton, actually came over to the New England Patriots. We also received Jason McCourty, which is a cornerback. We also signed Adrian Claiborne, Jeremy Hill, which is a running back, so that'll be good for our running back core. Matt Tobin. We also re-signed people like Rex Burkhead, Nate Ebner, Brandon King, and Brandon Bolden. Some of the big departures that we lost was Nate Solder, who went to the New York Giants, Dion Lewis, who went to Tennessee, Malcolm Butler, who went to Tennessee, Johnson Bademos, I think is how you say it. Badamosi to Houston. And then my least favorite of all, and this will segue right into Sebastian's favorite team, is we lost Danny Amendola to the Miami Dolphins. So it's a good pickup for Miami Dolphins, but it's a bad loss for us New England Patriot fans.
Yeah, it's a great pickup for the Dolphins to sign Amendola. As I noted earlier, they did trade Jarvis Landry to the Browns. Landry has been one of our best receivers, one of the best receivers in the league, leading the league in receptions last year. Amendola should step in and not fill that production per se, but fill a leadership role on the team. Definitely help with possession, third down possession receiver type of person. Very good at route running, making the catches in traffic. Could return some punts for us, although I don't think we'll ask him to do too much of that. But definitely a good trade, or a good signing for the Dolphins. Before I get too far on the Dolphins, I do want to point out one of my favorite signings from the Patriots, even though they're our rival, or trades, I guess, would be the Jason McCourty trade. I just love the idea that Jason and Devin will get to play together on the Patriots in that secondary. So I do think that's kind of interesting to see the brothers reunite in New England for the first time. But yeah, Danny Amendola is a Dolphin now. It's great to see him. We also signed wide receiver Albert Wilson, who played with the Kansas City Chiefs last year. Makes us one of the fastest, if not the fastest, wide receiving corps in football. So I think that'll help out Ryan Tannehill, who's coming back off an injury. We do lose Matt Moore to free agency. He hasn't signed anywhere yet, so it's technically possible he comes back, but I'd be surprised. We did bring back quarterback David Fales, likely to be the second string. If we can't grab a quarterback in the draft, probably our third string quarterback throughout the year. We did make a lot of other moves, though. We didn't just lose Landry. We also cut Ndamukong Suh and save a ton of money against the cap this year and next. I know we're still taking a big cap hit in dead money, but frees us up to sign guys like Amendola and Wilson. We traded for Robert Quinn, who's going to help on the defensive line. He's not going to fill a Ndamukong Suh type role in the middle, but I do think he's going to help out on the edge. Putting him and Cam Wake opposite each other, I don't think we need a Suh in the middle anymore with those two on the outside. And mixing in Harris, who we drafted last year out of Missouri, we're going to have a good defensive line still. I definitely think cutting Pouncey was a little hard. He's been a great center for us. He's been one of the, I'd say, top centers in the league, maybe top 10 when he's healthy. The problem is he's not healthy enough. I think moving on from him makes sense. And in that, we did do two things that I think are going to be overlooked when people talk about, best free agent moves or best offseason moves. But signing Packers guard Josh Sitton and trading for Daniel Kilgore, basically just flopping sevenths with the 49ers to get Kilgore. Both have been very productive offensive linemen. We've needed offensive line help for several years now. And to see him, or both of them really, Sitton and Kilgore, join the Dolphins offensive line, it should only make that line more sturdy and help protect Tannehill, who's coming off of the ACL injuries, get him, keep him upright, get him healthy, and then help our running back core, which right now is still led by Kenyon Drake. As of the recording of this, the Dolphins are hosting DeMarco Murray, and maybe by the time you're watching this have signed him, maybe not. But I definitely think the offensive line is key for the Dolphins. So with that, obviously we're both biased towards our teams, but let's take a look and just based on everything up to this point, February 18th, what we think might be the biggest winners and or losers in free agency. Tela, who do you think might be the biggest winner or loser, whichever one you want to start with?
So I think the biggest loser is probably the New York Jets. Although they did trade up to get the number 3 spot in the draft this year, I really feel like overall their team is still not going to be as well diverse in the leadership roles and being able to communicate on the field as well. So I definitely don't believe that they'll be in the playoff picture. As always, I think the New England Patriots will, but I actually think the best team thus far is actually the Miami Dolphins. I really feel like they've done a lot with their team to kind of get themselves back in that playoff picture, and hopefully it would be cool to see them in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. However, the Patriots will always get there before the Miami Dolphins. So those are my biggest losers and winners, just based on my own opinion.
Yeah, I'd love to say the Dolphins, obviously, because they're my team. I think, however, maybe the biggest winner, and again, a team that might be overlooked, is the Tennessee Titans. Bringing in Malcolm Butler to add to that secondary is already a good defense, maybe not up to the level of Houston or Jacksonville in their division, but they were a wild card team last year. And they got better on the backside with him. And then bringing in Dion Lewis. They lose DeMarco Murray, they cut him, but with Dion Lewis coming in to be kind of more of the pass option back out of the backfield beside Mariota, and having Henry there to be kind of the workhorse back and the smash mouth kind of guy, I really think that helps the Tennessee Titans only make their roster better after already being a playoff team. And if we can continue to see Mariota improve and play like he did in that week 17 and in that wild card game, and then even in the division round, I think we can definitely see an improvement out of Tennessee. In terms of the team that maybe quote unquote lost the most this year, it would have been easy for me, I think, at the beginning of the year to maybe say Baltimore, or even a couple days ago. Adding Crabtree helps, but they're still a team I think of that could have done a little bit more with Allen Robinson out there, with Jordy Nelson hitting free agency, with Jarvis Landry available via trade. I just don't know that they did enough to put weapons around Joe Flacco. They did lose. They lost Macklin as well. And I'm just not sure that Crabtree's going to come in and fill that production. Crabtree's been a great number 2 alongside Amari Cooper in Oakland. But he's going to be asked to take on the role of the number 1 in Baltimore. And I'm just not sure Baltimore's done enough to live up to what Pittsburgh has already. I don't think Cleveland's quite at the Baltimore level, but they've definitely improved their team a lot this year. It's going to be a very sexy pick to say Cleveland's the most improved team during the offseason, which is why I'm not going that way. I'm going Tennessee. But I just don't know that Baltimore's done enough to keep up with them in that division. So, anything else that I'm missing?
I don't believe so. So thank you guys all for watching this week's episode. We'll see you next week.